Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Giant Conversation of This Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingingsmith, and today joining me is Brandon.
Hello, guys.
The normal guys aren't here. Mark and Katie both had some holiday stuff they had to take care of, so Brandon's filling in for them. So thank you for that, Brandon.
You're welcome, Aaron.
We do have a lot that we've got to get done today. We're going to be talking about some students that made a special needs kid very happy. Also, a soldier who came home. We're also going to talk to you about the top 10 hottest gifts for this year, so you're going to want to hang on to that. We're also going to talk about Rogue One and how it swept the box office, movies to look out for this coming year, 2017, and a big secret about Saved by the Bell. And then, yes, we're going to bring back Baby Groot, all right here on Topic Talks. Welcome to Topic Talks, where we talk about the topics you care about and leave out the ones you don't.
We talk about what most news sources don't: media, movies, and the multiverse.
We even invite guests to come talk topics with us.
Come join in on the fun.
Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome to Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingingsmith, and Brandon, again, is joining me here. How you been, Brandon?
I've been pretty good.
It's been a while since you've been on. It's been several episodes. I think about 20.
Yeah, it has been about 20.
So I'm excited to have you back. We're going to get started with a story that I saw. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, and this one just kind of really caught my eye. It almost brought some tears to my eyes. So there's this student. His name's J.R. Gilbert, and he's a special needs student. So he's got this is a big word. Hydrocephalitis?
Yeah.
And ADHD. And I guess he would walk around in these shoes, or they're kind of more boots rather, and they were a half a size too small. Well, he's a kid who, can make lots of friends and things like that. Well, he was talking to a guy that he knew from one of his classes, and he realized that the JR shoes were too small, and he actually said he was telling me that his shoes didn't fit him, and if I knew anybody who wore size 13, I didn't. This kid also went on to say that he was bothered that one of his friends didn't have the appropriate things he needed so he could be comfortable. And he wanted to do something about it. So that kid, his name was, let me see if I can find it here, Salvador Salas. So Salvador decided he wanted to do something for JR. And so what he did, and this is what I think is kind of cool, he found two of his friends, Roger Villages and Martin Ramos, and they set out to raise money. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to buy JR a couple pairs of really nice shoes. So they went around and collected money from different students. They got about 20 students to donate to their cause. And that came up to a grand total of $180 just for shoes, which is kind of sweet if you ask me. I mean, $180 of people's donated money just to buy a kid a couple pairs of shoes. What do you think, Brandon?
I really like how people are still that considerate and they will try to help someone out.
Yeah, these are the things that I like to hear about, because it kind of tells you, what's kind of, I don't know, it kind of gives you hope for, people that are growing up in some of the lower generations, because all I hear is, millennials this, all negative stuff, and it's like, okay, well, our generation may be different than what you're used to, and that's about it. You know what I mean? It's just because we're different doesn't mean it's bad. Anyway, so they raised up $180, and they bought him two pairs of shoes. I'm pretty sure they were both Nike. I know for sure one of them was Nike. And there's a video. If you guys get a chance to watch the video, it is in the comment section below. I will share it on the Topic Talks Facebook page. But it's just of this, it's of JR opening up the shoes, and he's so excited. and there's all these students around him, and the three gentlemen who got all the money together and bought the shoes presented them to him, and he opened them up. He got all excited. Now later, his JR's mom did come out and say that she didn't find out until the night, until like that night, and she said it's the sweetest thing. It's one of those instances where he was just able to see he had a lot of friends, because sometimes I guess he felt like he didn't have too many friends. JR's mother also said that he does have other pairs of shoes, but she couldn't get him to wear any of them. Because apparently the boots that he wore was his grandfather's, who had, I'm assuming, had passed away. He said they couldn't wear them anymore. Either that or he grew out of them. I'm pretty sure the grandfather passed away. I didn't really speculate on that or not. But he said he can't do things like other students can, like play football and things like that. So it made him feel good and kind of showed him how like that he had a lot of friends. So I think this is a cool story, regardless of whether he had several pairs of shoes. I think this is a thing where it's special enough to him that it would call for, like, he would probably feel obligated to wear the shoes, or they might be it might be exciting for him to wear those shoes because they were gotten by his friends. They weren't just shoes that his mom had gotten him. So, what do you got any more thoughts on this, Brandon? I mean, he obviously, like his mom said, he had other shoes. So
I think it's just that maybe because since they were like those boots were probably like special to him, he felt like he wanted to wear those mostly because they were like through family. And then once he got his friends that all worked really super hard on getting them these shoes, he thought that was really nice of them and probably wanted to wear the shoes because of what they all went through.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. That's kind of where I think where I was going with it is, it's the sentimental value that he has behind some of the items, like the shoes he had been wearing. Now, it did not say whether he wore the new shoes. There was a picture of him with, because he got 2 new pairs of shoes. There was a picture of him with one shoe from one pair and one shoe from the other pair, both on his feet. So he was wearing like mismatched shoes, but to show that they fit. So have you ever encountered anything like this, Brandon?
Not that I can remember or know of. Have you?
Nothing like this, but I was actually recently just scrolling through right before the show on my Facebook page, and there's a GoFundMe page for a janitor that works at my school. And it's not because he's in need of anything or anything like that. It's because of the fact that he does so much for the school district that I used to be a part of, that I went to. And I mean, all he really does is, he's very happy every day. He says hi to everybody. He knows everybody in the school. Everybody knows him. He's very memorable. And he came up, the first thing that he did to kind of bring himself kind of, he said hi to everybody always, but he created this Facebook group called Positively Grand Blank. And what it was is it was a Facebook group for people to write positive comments and kind of chit-chat back and forth with just no negativity, because he was never negative at all. I don't think that man has a negative bone in his body. But it was really cool because he could hold, he would have cool conversations, and his thing is he would roll the trash can around, because there's this side hallway. There's like a back hallway, a hallway behind the cafeteria, and one along the side of the cafeteria. And what he would do is he would take this trash can and roll around and he wouldn't pick up the trash, but he would take the trash of the students that, were done. And so they could always just expect him to be right there. And so I think it's one of those things where it's really nice that he's not just another janitor that is just doing his job. He likes to go to work every day and things like that. So and I don't know who started the GoFundMe page, but they're trying just to get him something for Christmas, just to make it special and show him how to appreciate it. And there are people donating 25 to $50. I didn't see a donation lower than 25.
That must be a really nice janitor.
He's an awesome guy. And I mean, I became friends with him on Facebook, and he's got a cute little girl, and he's got a wife and a family, and he likes to play the drums, and he got a new drum set, and then he sold his old drum set, and so he's got a life. But he loves. If you look at some of his posts, a lot of his posts are about school. Like near the end of the summer, when students are about to come back to school, he'll take a picture of like a classroom, and he'll say, or like a cleaning utensil or something, and saying getting Grand Blank ready for the new school year or something, or the students are going to come back to a nice clean school or something like that. Like, he's always posting some stuff about Grand Blank on his personal page too, not just that Positively Grand Blank page. And that page got him quite a bit of recognition. I mean, he was Grand Marshal of the Homecoming Parade this year.
That's a really, really big honor.
It is. I mean, I've had 1 year it was he was my pottery teacher, but he was the track and field coach for Grand Blank for years. And the year after I had him, he retired from teaching, but he continued to coach because there was another teacher who took over like as quote unquote head coach. But he was still a coach, and he was basically still the head coach. Then that way it worked out that way. But he was the Grand Marshal. We've had so many different Grand Marshals, but this is one that he wasn't really a high official. He wasn't a teacher. He is literally just a janitor. But he's a janitor that if you go to anybody who went to Grand Blank since Patrick has been there, they know who he is. They know of him. They know how, they'll say, oh, he's a great guy. And there's something to be said for that. And I think it's kind of the same thing, the GoFundMe page and, these kids raising some money for a pair of shoes. It's the little things. It's the people who, kind of just take the initiative to, say, well, like he's like, well, I wanted to do something for this kid because he had a pair of shoes. He always wore these shoes and they never fit. I want him to be comfortable. I want him to be able to have what he needs. And, and they're so grateful at Grand Blank for Patrick and what he's done for the school that, they're like, well, we want to do something for him. We want to make his Christmas special. So we're going to start up a GoFundMe. Like, that just kind of warms my heart a little bit. It's kind of like the guy who would go around to random, he would go around to random stores, and he would go to the layaway section, and he would say, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a family or something that looks like it's a lot of toys for kids, and they're having a hard time making payments. They would give him a slip. He would pay off the layaway completely. So pay off everything that was in this layaway. And so then, when the family came to make the next payment, it would be paid off, and they would get their stuff. I mean, I always like to call it random acts of kindness. It's just the random things you do. I was going to say, your dad does kind of stuff for homeless people. He'll actually take them to, if they will, he would take them to, like, every once in a while to, like, a Wendy's or something and buy them food.
He has done it a couple of times.
And, I mean, just that, whether it's a couple times or a lot of times, it's still, means something to that person, It's kind of like a story that I've heard, and I may be getting it a little bit wrong, but there was this, the story goes kind of like this. There was this little boy, and he was walking up and down the beach, and he was picking up these starfish and throwing them back in the ocean. And he would just kept doing that, and this lady walked up and saw this kid was doing this and waited there for about 5-10 minutes and watched him do that. And she came up and said, boy, why are you doing that? They're just going to wash back up on ocean. It's not going to make a difference. And the boy picked up a starfish, and he looked at it, and he threw it. He said, it makes a difference for that one. And he picked up another one and said, threw it, and said, and that one too. So it's kind of like, you don't have to do anything huge. I mean, there was one day I was at a speedway where there's actually a lot of homeless people that frequent that particular speedway. And I mean, I was buying some Slurpees. I worked at a factory at the time, and it was very hot. We didn't have that good of AC. But I also worked in it was an almond factory, so there were these cookers going. So the AC was practically non-existent for the cooking rooms. So I went on my lunch break and I bought everybody Slurpees. Well, they pitched in their money, but I went and got them for everybody, and that was something different people had traded on and off doing. And I'm coming out with all these as I'm going in. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bug you." He's like, I'm a veteran, and and just kind of gave me a little spiel. And he's like, "Do you have any change? I just need a little bit of change so I can, go in and just buy something to eat." So I gave him, some change out of my car door, because it's really all the cash I had on me. And he went. He was very grateful, and he went on his way. And then as I was coming back out, he's like, "I don't know if I already asked you, but if I didn't, I'm gonna ask you now. If I did, I'll ask you again." And he asked me, and I said, "Well," he's like, "You already." I told him, I'm like, "You already asked me. I don't have any more." And he's like, "Well, you do have some pop bottles." I'm like, "Okay." So I gave him a couple pop bottles and went on, and it's just little things like that.
There's this one guy around us. I call him Uncle Si because he looks like Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
You probably know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
He always hangs out by the speedway. Never asks for anything. Always says his praise the Lord. And
Right.
He's an awesome guy. He's fun to talk to. And
Right.
I try to give him money when I have it here and there. But he always says thank you. He never asks for anything though.
Right.
I always try to give to him.
Yeah, and it's the people like that I really like to, kind of give something to. Now, Justin was on the show a little while ago, and he was talking about, we were talking kind of about the same thing. And he was talking about how his wife Alicia found these care packages. And what it is you put them, he called them hobo packages or whatever. But what she does is she'll put in the kind of necessities that they need, like things, just kind of a bag of random things that they need. Instead of giving them money, give them this random bag of things that they need. And what she does is she'll keep them in her car, and anytime she sees a homeless person on the side of the road, she'll hand them one of these packages. And he says it's amazing because you can tell the ones that are just out, like they want money so they can buy drugs, and then you can tell the ones that are actually grateful for these packages because they'll take them. But then that's a way that you can, because that is a fear that a lot of people have, and a fear why a lot of people don't give money to homeless people on the street is because they're afraid that person's going to go spend it on drugs. So I love some of these alternatives that people have found. Like I said earlier, your dad, he won't give them money, but he will, either take them or have them, like they'll walk over and he'll meet them at the Wendy's, because there's Wendy's literally right there.
There's everything
and
right
and
there.
buy them a meal, but he won't give them money.
Yep, even when they say, no, just give me money, I can go get food. He says, but I'm offering to get you food right now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm offering to, I will buy you whatever you want off the Wendy's menu, but I will not give you money. And he said that there's been a couple people who have, kind of turned him down.
He's also seen someone like that was on the side of the road. Then he went behind this building, and apparently he had a really nice truck, and he just drove off and went back to his house. So there's people like that are ruining for all these people that are homeless.
Now, you said it was a really nice truck?
It was a pretty nice truck, yeah.
Okay, so it didn't have like a whole bunch of stuff in it, like somebody lived in it or something?
No.
See, because that's something, because I had said that to my girlfriend April. I had said, there's a lot of people, I said, I've seen somebody, because I saw somebody who got in a car and drove away. They literally put their, dropped their sign, and they, walked into the parking lot, got in this car and drove away. And she said, well, what if that was their home? And I thought about it, and I really didn't look that closely, and there could have, there could have been like everything that they owned in that car. and so I may have misjudged a little bit, but I don't know, there's something that gets me about the people who stand on the side of the road and said, just lost job, need new job, have a family and
Yeah.
all this. It's like, okay, well, I understand that you lost your job, and I feel bad for you, but standing on the side of the road with a sign isn't always gonna get you a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can go to places like there's a lot of places you can go and get really nice, like get some nice interview clothes. There's things you can do. And actually, it's kind of funny because have you ever seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness?
Once a long time ago.
That was the one with Will Smith and
Yep.
his son. One of the things that I liked about that movie is it showed that he literally was broke. There was one night when him and his son slept in a bathroom, and he hit rock bottom. But you didn't see him standing on the side of the road with a sign saying, homeless. He took advantage of the things that he got, like homeless shelters. He tried to get into a homeless shelter every night. He tried to, and what he was fighting for is he was doing this internship that was unpaid, so he could get a job, so he could hopefully, because at the end of this internship you have a possibility of getting a job. And at the he's struggling this entire movie, and then at the end he gets the job. But when he went to work, he was always dressed nice because he still had his dress clothes. He put 110% into what he was doing. But he also made sure his son was taken care of. And that was actually based on a true story. There was somebody who actually did that. They were, that was an actual person, and they overcame that kind of stuff. And you didn't see him standing on the side of the road. He busted his butt to get what he could and take advantage of the resources that is provided to him. And I think that kind of drive goes a long way.
It really does too.
I was gonna say, and it's funny because Brandon, you do a lot with you're a DJ, and you find some of the best deals, and it's because you look and look and look and look and look, and you just kind of look everywhere you can. You look in even places people tell you, don't worry about it, you won't find anything on there.
Yeah, I do.
And
Takes time though.
I was just saying, I think you have a better setup than a lot of the other professional DJs that spent, who just went into a Guitar Center or something and bought all this equipment. And, you walk out and you trade things, or you'll buy a broken light and you'll fix it, sell that, take the money, or you'll trade that for more equipment or things like that. That shows that you're passionate about that. It's kind of like me with this. I love to do this. I do this for free every day. It takes me,
You do it almost every single day too.
I was going to say, I'm always in my studio, recording something if I need to record, the intros I use on the show take a long time. They didn't take that long, but they take some time. When I do the little messages saying, like when I did the Halloween one saying that we're going to skip the Halloween show, so we could be with our families, things like that. That takes time, and that's me sitting in my studio recording something, putting the music in, putting the sound effects in. But then on top of that, I'm sitting there trying to find content for when I do have a show. Like, ask Brandon, my phone is flooded with news apps and movie apps and all these, and I'll be sitting there and I'll say, he'll even find something and say, Aaron, look at this. Or my girlfriend will find something and say, Aaron, look at this. You could do this on your show. And then they send it to me. I'll save it somewhere. And then I spend a couple hours before the show typing it up. But it's something that I'm very passionate about. I love to do. I love to bring kind of happy news and knowledge and movie news to anybody I can. And I'm very knowledgeable about just kind of random things, and that comes in handy. And so, because I'm passionate, I've spent a lot of money slowly on what I have here. And because I started off with one microphone and one audio mixer. And now I'm up to two audio mixers, one really nice microphone, two kind of mediocre microphones, plus a third very crappy one in the drawer. I have this nice desk. Like, I just slowly found deals, kind of like Brandon here, that got me to what I wanted. And I had a picture in my head of what I wanted. And I feel like I've really worked hard for it.
You have worked really hard on getting to where you are now.
I was going to say, I've had better grades going to specs than I've ever had. I have an internship that I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to drive an hour to go to an internship so that I can get into the radio business and do this for the rest of my life and get paid for it. And it's, I don't know. I just feel like when people say, well, I lost my job and they're standing on the side of the road with a sign, well, wouldn't that time be better spent going out somewhere and trying to find trying to find a job, or trying to find what resources you can to help you, and like I saw a family, they had a minivan, and you could tell like they lived out of the minivan and whatever, but there was the dad, the mom, and 2 kids all sitting right there, and they put the little boy right in front.
To show, like, hey, look.
Right, there's a little boy,
sympathy.
and they held up a sign. And I was looking at him going, okay, well, there's 2 adults there. One of you could be out searching for a job. You guys have shelter. You guys obviously have a license of some form. You guys could be, the mother could keep the kids. She could drop the husband off. He could try to go job search, or
every other day they could switch it up.
Right, they could switch it up. They could both look for jobs. There's a lot of things that you can do. But there are people who have gotten to where they are, and they just kind of found themselves there one day. And I think like Justin had said that he had found himself not in that bad of a situation, but pretty much homeless. But he picked himself up. Now he has an awesome wife, a very nice house, a great job, and that didn't come to him by holding up a sign. And so I really admire stories about this one with special needs, this special needs student, is because it's, he really didn't expect anything. He was asking around. He's like, oh, my shoes don't fit. But there's this other kid that took the initiative and said, oh, I want to do something for him. And like Patrick from my school, he doesn't ask for money or anything. He's not that kind of person. He's very humble. And when he does get stuff, he's very, like he gave a speech when he was the homecoming grand marshal. He gave a speech, and he's like, thank you, it's great to be recognized. And just, he was very humble about it. He was very, he was like, thank you so much, this means a lot to me. But he didn't do, he was just doing his job. He didn't do it saying, oh, I want to be grand marshal of the homecoming parade one day. So I don't know, that's why I kind of admire people who do this. And then there's those people who take the initiative, and then you've got those other people that just expect everything to be handed to them. Wouldn't you agree with that, Brandon?
Yes, I would. I'm sorry about this, but your chair over here kind of like I keep thinking I'm falling backwards.
Then why don't you switch chairs?
I could do that.
You could. There's 2 chairs. Okay. Well, Brandon switches his chairs. I'm going to switch to our next topic. Our next topic is about, this is one that I always love to hear about. It is about a soldier coming home. Now, one of the reasons that I love hearing about this kind of stuff is, one, I have a few friends that are in the military, and I know me and all of his other friends love it when he comes home. We all get together. We all look forward to it. And actually, the past couple weeks, that's pretty much what's been happening. I've had several friends come home from where they live. I've got one that lives in Colorado, and one that's stationed at Dover Air Force Base. And it's nice to see them every once in a while, and I'm happy when they come home. And one of them just came off a deployment, and so I'm glad he got home safely. The other one might be going out, might be getting deployed soon. So it's kind of, I'll be happy when he comes home. But in this case, this is about a mother who is a specialist in the U.S. Army. Her name's Christine Rainey, and she spent the last 6 months in Qatar, and she left behind her daughter, uh, Kaylee. It's Kaylee. And the sad part about this is originally, she had one date when she got deployed, and then when she got there, they're like, "Oh no, you're not gonna get back until this date," and she wasn't gonna be home for Christmas originally, and that saddened her daughter, and it got bumped up, and this is the part where I think it's kind of cool, is because the mother decided to surprise her daughter at a dance recital, and this dance recital, and there's an awesome video. Again, I will throw it up on the Topic Talks Facebook page at the end of the show, so you can watch it. Because I'm not gonna lie, I almost teared up. I had a hard time writing the story because it's just it's so heartfelt. But it just showed the little girl was in the recital, and it looked like it was coming to an end, and you hear a bagpiper playing the playing God Bless America, and which is awesome on the bagpipes, by the way. If you've never heard it, I would suggest you look it up or something, because that's kind of adds a little bit of emotion to it. But there's a guy playing the bagpipes, playing God Bless America, and this little girl's mom comes out, and she just instantly bursts into tears and hugs her mom, and it's very heartfelt. And I guess a little bit more of the story, or the mother said that she absolutely had no idea, that the little girl had absolutely no idea, or no, the mother had absolutely no idea of what the little girl's reaction was going to be, but it was absolutely perfect after they got through. She is stationed out of an Air Force base in South Carolina. I don't know. I really like the coming home stories. The parents who come home and surprise their kids. One of my favorites is when they surprise their dogs. Have you seen those videos, Brandon?
Yeah, I have. The dogs really like it when they come home too.
Yeah, when the dogs go crazy, and it's almost like the kids. The kids go get all start to cry and get really happy, and the dogs get it's literally there's no difference, except one's a dog and one's a kid. Their reaction is completely the same. Because there's a video, it's one of my favorites to this day, and it's this girl, she was in the Army and she got deployed, and she came back home and her dog went crazy. And I mean, my dog goes crazy when I leave the car and he can see me.
Yeah, he just sits there and starts crying.
I was gonna say, so I couldn't imagine if I left for 6 months and then came back, what he would do. He would be so excited I probably would get knocked down.
He already knocks you down.
I was gonna say, right now he's a 70-pound German Shepherd that's about 6 months old, so he's got a lot of growing to do. But this is a cool story. She also said that she just wants to enjoy being home, sitting on the couch and cuddling with her family, and doing the family thing. She said that they have a tree up, but they haven't decorated it yet, and they were going to do that one night this coming week. And it was put up and waiting for the mother to get home before they decorate it. And this is kind of one of those things where I like the fact that a lot of people, sometimes they're able to make it home for Christmas. It's kind of like that movie, and this may sound a little bit dumb, but it's kind of like that movie, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Have you seen that one, Brandon?
No, I have not.
It's it's kind of about a college kid who is supposed to, if he makes it home by Christmas, he gets this really, really, really nice car that his dad owns.
Okay, maybe I have.
And literally the things that happen to this kid. He goes on a party, he's gonna fly home, and he goes to this party. There's these kind of bullies that throw him in the middle of a desert in a Santa suit. And the Santa suit is glued on. I mean, the beard and everything and the hat are all glued onto him. And so this whole trip is of this kid trying to get home because they took his wallet. So he had no money. They took his, and I mean, he was able to call his sister, and she went and tried to wire him money, but he needed an ID, so then he couldn't get the money, and there was no other way for him to, and he knew that he needed an ID, so they came up with the secret password. Then he went to use the secret password, and they're like, okay, we need to see your ID. He's like, well, what's the point of the password if you need to see my ID? And so he ends up catching this ride with this robber, and it's literally just a crazy movie. And he makes it home by Christmas, and he makes it home with the girl that he loves, and a happy ending or whatever. And he turns down the car, which is kind of funny. At the end of the movie, he turns down the car because he got the girl, and he doesn't care about the car. And he said he was gonna wait for his dad to. He told his dad he was gonna wait for him to, and they were gonna fix it up together. I forgot where I was going with that. Where was I going with that, Brandon?
I don't know.
Oh, coming home. Anyway, so it's sometimes people try so hard to get home, and I'm really happy when it actually does work out that way, and they are able to make it home for the holidays. So that's something that's kind of. Have you ever been away from home during the holidays, Brandon?
My family and me went down to Tennessee to see my other family, my grandparents, down in Tennessee. That's it.
Well, yeah, but you were with family. I mean, this past Thanksgiving, I worked. My girlfriend went to her parents' house because she didn't work. My grandma was in Pittsburgh because, she wanted to see her sister along with my aunt. So I was literally working and alone on Thanksgiving. But my work, there was somebody at my work who decided they found these little, they were sides for Thanksgiving dinner. They had they bought some ham from the deli or some turkey from the deli, and they were mashed potatoes and gravy, and they were just these little heated up things. And she bought a whole bunch of them. They were $1 a piece. They bought a whole bunch of them and put them over in and just kind of let it for everyone. And so that's kind of one of those things that I think is really, is really nice. That person didn't have to do that. She didn't have to go to the store and buy and make sure everybody who was working on Thanksgiving had a Thanksgiving dinner.
That was really nice of her. The only time I really actually been away from family was I spent the first couple hours on Christmas last year. Then after that, I had to go to work for the rest of the night. So it was nice spending some time. It kind of sucked being away from for the rest of the day, though.
Well, and I had another year. Again, my grandma went down to Pittsburgh. I was gonna go with her, but I worked at a restaurant at the time, and I wasn't able to. I had to work. I was supposed to work on Monday, and they weren't gonna be back until it just wouldn't have worked out for me to go. So I stayed home, and I got a call on Thanksgiving, and he's after my grandma had already left, saying, "Oh, I changed the schedule. You're supposed to be working these days." And I told him, I said, I can't work those days. I have school. And so I ended up not, I could have went. It turns out I could have gone. And again, I ended up at my house watching TV on Thanksgiving. But there was a neighbor of mine who's a really good friend. And, usually if the Thanksgiving was at, her parents' house, which was right in the house behind my grandma's, I would go over there. But it was at her aunt's house, and I mean, I had a car and I could have went over there, but I just didn't feel comfortable. At her parents' house, I felt comfortable, but at her aunt's house, I really didn't feel comfortable. And she kept inviting me over, and she knew I was alone, and she said, "Okay, well, don't argue. I'm bringing you food." She said, "You're gonna have to have a Thanksgiving. You're having a Thanksgiving dinner." So she asked me, "What do you want this? What kind of pie and all that?" And she brought me a plate with everything on it. it had turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and stuffing, and she even brought me on a separate little plate a piece of pie. And just that little gesture, just somebody bringing me just one plate full of, Thanksgiving food made my day. As you can tell right now, I still talk about that day because it was a moment that, I really enjoyed, and I was very happy that I had, someone that could do something like that for me. Have you ever had anything like that, Brandon, where you were kind of down and somebody was able to kind of pick you up?
Not really, not that I can think of right now.
Anyway, so I'm just happy that this little girl got her mom for Christmas. That's something that's kind of exciting for me. You got anything else on this, Brandon?
No, I'm just really happy that girl got to spend time with her mom. I know it would be hard not really spending Christmas with your family.
Yeah, and I've been kind of having a crappy holiday. I mean, I've got my entire family's coming in for Christmas, and some people, like my best friend, was like, "Uh-oh." Because it doesn't usually end up working out in my favor. Like, they were supposed to be at my house, and we were gonna do everything here, and this is my first house, so I was all excited. And then they all of a sudden changed the plans, and so now we're doing it over at somebody else's house, and we're doing it at like my brother-in-law's mom's house, and now his family's coming, and it's not really like the kind of the Christmas party I had in mind.
Yeah, it's not really
So I was
just your family. It's kind of a whole bunch of other people
yeah,
too.
it's just kind of another party that I need to add onto my list of parties that I have to go to. And so I was really excited because my work was generous enough to give everybody who works there an entire ham. And Brandon's rubbing his belly because it was really good. But what I did is I'm like, okay, well, they don't want to be at my house for Christmas. I'm going to have my own little Christmas party. And I invited a whole bunch of friends. Brandon was there. My girlfriend April was there. My best friend Cody was there. His girlfriend was there. I had, there were a lot of people that came. And, my grandma helped me make, we had, what all did we have? We had ham. I cooked ham.
We had cornbread.
We had cornbread.
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Cookies,
there was green bean casserole.
Deviled eggs.
The deviled eggs weren't that good. But anyway, we had all this food, and like right before the party, I was kind of getting nervous because I didn't feel like anybody was going to show up, but it ended up, enough people showed up. We almost, we ate majority of the food. The ham turned out excellent because that was the thing that I really cooked. I cut it up, and my grandma just kind of gave me the recipe and kind of told me what to do, but I was the one that actually did all the work. I kept making, as it was cooking, I kept checking on it, and I was taste testing my work as I was going. But it turned out really good. Everybody, like Brandon's sitting here rubbing his belly because he had some last night, and then he had some again today. But, I mean, and that kind of made my holiday. It kind of made me forget about, the problems that I'm having with my family, and, yeah, I may be selfish because they're not doing what I want them to. Okay, I'm still gonna go to the Christmas party and all that, but it was something, there was no stress. The party got going. There's no stress. We just had fun. It was a way to unwind and relax, and that was, just it was nice. So I just I don't know. So what do you think of the party?
I thought it went over pretty good. A lot of the food was gone by the end of the night. Everyone was happy. We got to play a couple rounds of Cards Against Humanity. That's always a fun game to play with all of us.
That's an awesome game to play. That is one of my all-time favorite games to play.
It really brings out the inner kids inside everyone.
But like, just it doesn't matter what game, honestly, to me. Just sitting down and playing a board game of any form or card game is fun because it's not something that I get to do that often. It's not something that I get to do every day. It's I only do it a little bit, and then everybody parts ways, and I go back to my Yahtzee on my phone and things like that. And so it's really nice when you get to. I mean, I treasure the moments when I was a child, and I used to sit down with my grandma and some of my best friends and just play a board game. I mean, we played Sorry. We would play. There's this game called Knockout where you had math, and so there was I love those moments. You played Battleship. You could play Hangman. There's all these different games that I used to play when I was a kid, and now I treasure those moments because I don't have those that often.
I remember going up north with my grandparents up at their cabin, and like we would always turn off like all the TVs, pull everyone's phone away, and we just spend like the whole day just playing games, talking to each other, and we just did that for a couple of days. And I really liked how no one was really on their phone at all. We all got to spend time together. When I was a kid, I always hated it, but now that I grew up, I understand, and I really miss doing that.
Yeah, it's one of those things when when you're a kid, you're like, oh, this is boring, it sucks. But when you're an adult, you start to kind of understand why those moments are as precious as they are. And it's like I look back every day and I think about what an awesome childhood I had, how many good friends I had, and it was just kind of one of those things where it was really nice to. It was just really nice. I mean, I kind of want to go back and relive those, but I'm also excited to look forward to the future. I mean, like I said, I'm getting into something that I really love. And actually, it's kind of funny. I do that internship, and I try to fill in when I can. And my boss from my internship just messaged and said, "Hey, somebody can't make it tomorrow. Can anybody make it?" And I'm going to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go to my internship, ready for my other job, and work, and then leave a little bit early to go to my other job and work there all day. I mean, it's one of those things. It's I obviously love what I do, and it's just when you love what you do, it makes everything easier. But I still miss those times with sitting in my grandma's house playing those board games because it's those are kind of times that I'll never get back. I mean, yeah, I'm still friends with a lot of the people, but I'm not a little kid. I can't just sit and play board games all day. I've got to get up. I've got a job. I've got a house I got to take care of. I've got dogs. I've got dog food to buy and things like that. And so it's it's not as easy. So these moments that when you get to be home for Christmas, and it's just exciting. You got anything else, Brandon?
No, not on this. No.
Man, you're quiet.
I'm really looking forward to the next one, though.
You're really looking forward to the next one. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. You ready, guys? So we're going to give you the top 10 hottest gifts for this year. I know you're saying, Aaron, wait a minute. I've already bought all my gifts. You're late. I know I'm a little bit late, but these are for the guys who are going to wait until, Christmas Eve and run out and go, oh, crap, I forgot a present. Pay attention, okay? Or keep these in mind for next year. There's a lot of top 10 lists that you can find on Facebook or on the internet in general about some of the hottest gifts. So keep your eye on those, especially throughout the year, and especially when it gets close to Christmas time. But getting on with our list, it's the top 10 gifts for this year. So I'm going to start off with the first one. The first one's it's called Pokemon Sun. It's a game for the 3DS. Pokemon is huge right now.
It has gotten very huge. Even after Pokemon Go, it just kept going, and a whole bunch of game systems started coming back out with games for it.
Well, it's funny because I remember when I was a kid and you had, if you had Pokemon cards, sometimes you were, you were a geek, and now everybody plays Pokemon Go. I mean, everybody.
Yep. Cause I remember I was going through school. I had Pokemon cards. Everyone called me a geek. They didn't want to hang out with me. I was that one weird kid with Pokemon. And now it's just huge. Everyone does Pokemon. Even at the skating rink I work at, there's people walking around like still playing Pokemon Go because that's one of the portals.
Right.
So they just stay there all day.
I could tell when Pokemon Go hit because so where I work, I can see an entire view of the entire store, and I could see people who did not fit it. They just you could tell they weren't shopping. You could tell they were staring at their phones, walking in kind of circles. And I'm like, is there Pokestops in here or something? And my supervisor, who also plays the game, was like, yeah, you've got all these different, because I mean, there's an airplane in the store that I work at. Come on. So there's all these different portals, and I don't know. It kind of took off, but I could tell who was playing Pokemon Go and who was actually there to shop. But Pokemon took off huge.
I know you and me always went out here and there and everywhere just to find the Pokestops.
Well, and you and I went out before Pokemon Go was a thing.
Yeah, we did Ingress.
We went out, and there was this thing, and you've heard me talk about it a million times. It's called Ingress, and it was like the great-grandfather to Pokemon Go. But Brandon and I probably looked... we didn't look that stupid, because what we would do is we would play from my car.
Yeah.
We knew all the spots where we could go, and I feel like the GPS was a little bit more accurate on that game, and you could sit in the car. But it's funny because you didn't have all these problems that you have now. Pokemon Go blew up so big that you had all these people trespassing on a different, like there were a couple that were water towers that I couldn't get because I'm not going to trespass on that kind of property.
No.
But
we know better.
Right. Like we'd pull over on the side of a side road. It'd be like in front of a house. We'd pull over, do whatever we were doing on that game, and then pull away. But we would never go into police stations. And so one of the problems with Pokemon Go is it blew up so big that so many people were playing it. It just kind of, and then that's when you get the people who just don't think. They're like, oh, I gotta get that Pikachu.
And there's people just walking out in the road trying to get the Pokemon as traffic's going.
I was going to say,
paying attention.
My family walked around. Most of the time we drove around, but when we walked around Rochester, we would always be aware of cars that were coming in. And
that's why I like Pokemon Go, because like if a Pokemon popped up, your phone would vibrate. But if you're walking across the road, you can still continue across the road, then do what you had to do. Most people were just staring at their phone the whole time.
Well, and like, I would stare at my phone and I would look and I'd say, okay, well, obviously there's not a portal. In English they're called portals. A portal in the middle of the road. So I would put my phone, I'd leave it open, but I'd put it down. I'd, look like I'm supposed to, look both ways and whatever, and cross the road, and then I would continue to play my game and walk on my trail and whatnot. And like I said, one of the biggest problems with Pokemon Go is it's the dumb people. It's the dumb people. Anyway, so Pokemon Sun is a game for the 3DS, but Pokemon has gotten huge. I started watching, I think it's Pokemon Indigo League. It was the cartoon that was on when I was a little boy.
They have that still?
Yes, it's on Netflix.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so I started rewatching it, and it's really funny because the dynamic between the characters is it's like right there. And I forgot about how sassy Pikachu was. And everybody's like, how could Pikachu be sassy?
Oh, he was very sassy.
When you watch the show, it's one of those things where, yeah, all he said was Pika-Pee and Pikachu. He would just say his name. But you could tell by his expressions that he was being snotty and, and like he would laugh when the main character, whose name was Ash, was doing something wrong and things like that. And you can kind of see from the beginning, from the first episode, how their relationship developed. First, Pikachu didn't like Ash, and he started to gain respect for him, the more he learned. So anyway, so Pokemon Sun is number 10 on our list. Number 9 is men's Nike Air Max running shoes. They come in red and black. Running shoes are not something that thought I would see on a Christmas list.
Neither
Ever.
did I, but
When I got
ones,
shoes, I would get mad.
these shoes there actually look pretty cool.
Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about them?
No, I just seen them because I just had to Google it because I was last minute, so I was trying to look at everything.
No, but I don't care how expensive the shoes are. If I get shoes for Christmas, I'm like, really? You got me shoes? I didn't want shoes. I want something cool. I want something I can play with. It's just like when you get socks.
I like that.
How many times have you gotten socks for Christmas?
Quite a lot.
No, granted, I would get socks, but I would get a whole bunch of really cool toys, and I'm like, okay, well, just give me the socks. Like, you don't need to wrap it up, because by the time I unwrap it all, I figure out it's socks. I'm like, really?
I don't want to go through all that work. Just paint it to me.
Right, yeah.
Put it in my stocking.
Put it as a stocking stuffer. Stuff the stockings with stockings. Again, it's one of the, I would get really mad if I got shoes. So that's not something that I thought I would see on this list. But it's on there. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, here we go. Here, this is a little bit more like
You're excited for this one.
Call of Duty Infinity Wars. Or Warfare, my bad. Infinity Warfare. I'm not a big fan of I'm a fan of Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 2, I think that's pretty much it. Black Ops 2, and there's one that Anthony has me play every once in a while. But Black Ops 2 is my favorite. It's the one I'm really good at. But I mean, the Call of Duty kind of got old.
Yeah, they keep coming out with more and more.
Well, because you had Call of Duty 1 through, how many of the original Call of Duties were there? I know I have 3 for my PlayStation 2.
I think there was either 3 or 4.
And so then there was like 4. Then they went into like Black Ops. They went into Black Ops 1, 2, 3. You know, it just kind of started. It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious series.
Yeah, it is. They just keep adding on, but nothing's really.
Actually, no. And a more accurate representation is the American Pie series.
Yes.
Because you have, the original set that take place over all the wars, and with not all the same, but so you have like the original set, and then you have these random games or these random sets of games that just kind of really don't make sense to the other storylines. They're just random storylines by themselves. To where the original games you had, this game was in this war, this game was in this war, this game was in this war, and then you're just sitting there. Now they're just making up storylines about, drug smugglers and all this, and I don't know. There was something about the original Call of Duty. I mean, I've got 3, and it was very difficult, and I still haven't beaten it, and all my data's probably gone from it, like from a memory card, because I think my PlayStation memory card got wiped.
Yeah, that accidentally happened one day.
But what did you do? Wipe my memory card?
No, you did.
Oh. Anyway, but so I like Black Ops 2, but they're coming out with way too many. Like, I'm really over the whole Call of Duty thing. Like, what's Infinity Warfare? Like, what does that mean? They're gonna fight forever?
I guess so. I guess maybe this might be their last one because they're just infinite. So maybe this might be their last one.
It won't be their last one. They're gonna keep making more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Call of Duty fell on number 8 on our list. Now, number 7 is an Xbox One, which you're gonna need to play number 8. So I feel like those should be together.
They should be.
An Xbox One is nice. I've seen a lot of them. I've thought about getting one, but for me, I would rather spend my money on other things. I mean, I had a friend when I was in high school, and I had a car and he didn't, but he had a game system and I did. Like, he had the Xbox 360 and I didn't. I had a PlayStation 2 and a regular original Xbox. That's all I had. And he's like, dude, you should get an Xbox 360 because then we can play. Or no, he wanted me to get a PlayStation 4. He's like, or PlayStation 3. He's like, dude, get a PlayStation 3. He's like, because then we can play games. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm going to spend my money on my car.
Come over to my house and we can play games.
I was going to say, I'm going to spend money on my car so I can drive over to my friend's house to play his Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 or whatever game system it was. And it was funny because he always argued with me about it. He's like, but you can afford. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm like, I have, car insurance that I have to try to start paying because at that point my grandma was paying it. And she told me, try to start paying it and, slowly, eventually you'll pay for it yourself. But start now. And I had to pay for gas because I had my regular high school classes, but then there was this block of one class, and it was at the end of my day, and it was at this place called Skill Center. It was a school. Originally, it used to be kind of like a trade school. You'd go over there and you would learn to be a mechanic or to be a welder or things like that. They were trades. And as the school kind of progressed, it started to get like they got a forensic science class and they got a nursing program and
anything your school did not offer, they had.
yeah, pretty much anything your school did not offer they had, but they were a hands-on school. You did a lot of like I took a forensics class. I took part 1 and part 2, which were 2 different years. But the thing about it is you had to be either a junior or a senior to even attend this like extra school. And depending on how you did it, you could get like 1 extra credit. But it literally like my junior year, I had what was called 0 hours. So I would go in before my school even started, and I would go to my school. There would be a bus waiting. I'd get on the bus. They would take us over to Skill Center. I would have the class, and then I would leave that class at a certain time, go back to my school, and be there in time for. I think I got there. Be there in time for like 1 class, then I would take a lunch, and then I would, finish out my day at my school. Then my senior year, that was when I took Forensics 1, and they went through all the things under forensic, forensic pathology and fingerprinting and just kind of everything, covered a little bit of everything. It was all hands-on. We had hands-on crime scenes, so they would have like, fake knives and things like that, and there would be clues, and my teacher would set it up. And there would be specific clues that we need to look for, and or evidence that we needed to look for. And did we get the evidence? Did we get it all? Did we collect it? Did we collect it correctly? Did we learn anything, or did we just kind of fly by? And so that was my junior year. Then my senior year was the second part. Well, the second part of the class is you were job shadowing. So you went to the morgue. You went to the histology lab where they would like, whenever they like remove something from you, like if you get a knee replacement, or if you get a gallbladder taken out, or if you get, anything that you get surgically removed goes down to this histology lab, and they cut it up. They cut it into like micro thin slices, and put it on a slide, and examine it just in case it happens to be cancerous or anything like that. But you got to visit that lab. You got to go visit the prosecuting attorney. You got to go to a police station. But most of these things were for a week. It's like you would spend a week in the histology lab, and you would learn what what a pathologist does, not a forensic pathologist, so not like in the morgue. But they sit and look at slides all day and look for cancer cells. And then you've got the pathology assistant who sits there and kind of cuts up the specimens that they want to use for, and then you've got the ladies out in the actual lab where they've got these machines, and you crank the handle and it makes those micro slices, and you put those on slides, and you've got to organize the slides that are already made, and you had this machine where it kind of put the slides over, so there was all this cool stuff that you could learn, but you would spend a week there. And you'd go to the morgue for a week. You had all these different places that you would go, and it was an awesome experience. And your entire year consisted of these things, and then at the end you had this book, and there were certain things that you had to do, like you had interview questions you had to ask. Ask them about their job and things like that. But for every section, you had to put your resume, a cover letter, a reference sheet, the questions you asked, and the answers that the person gave. There's this giant book, and I still have it. Actually, I still have it. You had to have a nice cover photo for everything, and it was really cool because I learned so much in both the classes. Anyway, so I would leave and go to this other school, and come back. And so I would drive. My senior year, I would drive to Skill Center because I didn't want to take the bus. Because then that way, I could stop by McDonald's and get lunch if I wanted to, or I could just, it was easier to kind of just go, get in my car and go, and it was a lot faster too. I didn't have to wait. I could, just hop in my car, go to Skill Center, and then instead of, coming back to the school, I could just go straight home. Because my senior year, it was at the end of my day. So literally after lunch, because for the first half of my year, I rode the bus, and, after lunch, we would wait, and they would let us go a little bit early, and we would go and catch our bus and go to Skill Center. When I started driving, I would literally, unless I had a friend to drop off back at the school, which was on my way home anyway, I would just go straight home after Skill Center. And it was nice. So I had to pay for the gas. I had to pay, and he's like, "Dude, you should get an Xbox One, or you should get a 360 or PlayStation 3." And I'm like, "Dude, I would rather pay for my necessities for my car and drive over to my friends where they have all that stuff than lose my car and pay for a game system." So I don't know. Xbox Ones are sweet, but they're not a necessity. It'd be cool to get one for Christmas though.
Yeah, I know. I remember you said if I get one, then you're just gonna keep it over here.
No, you said you were gonna move in, and I said, if you move in, are you gonna bring it with you?
That's when you go with your media area.
Yeah, and
Are we done with that one? Because I see you're a little busy over there right now.
sorry. There's
Because I'm okay with this next one. I actually know about this next one.
Okay, Brandon. What's the next one?
It's an Alienware computer. Probably their laptops.
They're laptops.
Yeah.
Is it different than a normal laptop?
Yeah, because they're made for gaming. They're really expensive too, but they
How
have.
expensive? Do we have a kind of like a price range?
I know it's about like around $1,500 for
Whoa,
one of their mid-range ones.
that's like as much as all this equipment sitting in this room.
Yeah, they get very expensive. Almost like MacBooks, but Alienwares actually give you what you're paying for. Unlike, you'd be a MacBook and it's like almost $2,000 and you get almost nothing for it. You pay for the name.
Pretty much. That's one thing that I don't like about Apple is you pay for the name. So these Alienware, so they're laptop, but they're gaming laptops.
Yes.
So what does it have that's different than a normal laptop?
They just have bigger processors. They have more RAM. They're able to handle like almost any kind of game.
So it takes a lot of out of the computer to play certain types of games.
Basically, it's like a desktop that's put into a laptop.
And that would be why it's $1,500.
Yeah.
Is there other brands other than Alienware?
There are a couple, but I forget their names.
So like none of the big companies like Dell or Acer make these.
Those are more like I think Dell does, but they're more like just business computers.
Okay.
I know Asus makes a couple.
Okay. Well, so number 6 is our Alienware. We have our what's the next one? It's Razer
Ouroboros Elite Ambidextrous Gaming Mouse. I have not saw one of those before.
So this is gonna go with the gaming computer.
Yeah, I can. I never saw one. I'm gonna
So
look it up.
do you know what the difference between a gaming mouse is and a regular mouse?
Sometimes they fit your hand better. I'm trying to figure out how to use your computer over here.
You click on stuff.
I know that, but it's different.
Is it really?
It's a Chromebook, yeah.
Anyway. So it fits your hand better. I mean, all the ones that I've ever had, it fit my hand pretty well.
Yeah, but these ones, like, some of them are more like form fit a hand, like a normal mouse, how it's just like you can fit your hand on it. This one's actually made like, has like grooves in it for your hand to sit in, and I guess some of them it's like easier to, like, you're okay with using it for longer periods of time. It can take more stress than the other mice.
So basically, like how I replace some of my cheap ones once a year, this one you're gonna have for several years.
Yeah. So basically,
it can take more abuse.
Yeah.
But this is probably not one that you're meant to, pack up and take anywhere. It's
You
kind of
could
one.
if you wanted to, but
Yeah, but
I
it's not
wouldn't do
meant
it.
to be taken all. Like I take mine
Everywhere you go.
everywhere I go,
Yeah.
and it's not meant for that kind of stuff. It's meant mostly to kind of sit around and.
Yeah. I know. This next one though, you really don't like.
Yeah, I do. So it's the iPhone 6 is
I-
number 4.
It's actually the iPhone 7.
Sorry,
I don't,
iPhone 6.
I don't know what
Or the
happened.
iPhone 7.
With their only one port, so you have to have a special adapter to plug in your headphones unless you have Bluetooth.
Yeah, see that's what really irritates me about Apple is that they think they're innovating and they're really just taking away stuff that is like the most used piece of a device.
I do like how they try to make something different, at least finally, because I know all these phones, they're all the exact same, just small little thing different, and they're like $200-$300 more than the last one.
Right.
This one, at least they changed something, but it made it for the worse.
Right, yeah, I mean like my girlfriend, she got an iPhone 7 and her adapter cuz it came with an adapter so you could, plug it into the charging port and then you can use regular headphones. But then you can't charge your phone.
I like sometimes with my phone, I'll do both. I'll be charging it while I'm listening to music, just because I'm sitting there trying to like screen the music so I know what I'm playing.
Well, I'm doing that right now with one of my tablets. I mean, I've got a tablet. I've got it plugged in through my system because it's where I do a lot of my sound effects through, and then I've got it plugged in because it was dead. And it's kind of like, well, if I had an iPhone, because if I had an iPhone, I wouldn't be able to do that. So it's one of those things. I feel like it's an unnecessary, like they're doing some unnecessary things to try to make it. Oh, it's innovative. They've done something that nobody's ever dared to do. Well, it's not really that nobody's ever dared to do it. It's nobody needed to do it or wanted to do it because it's not something that needs to be done or should be done. And I laughed when my girlfriend's thing didn't work, but honestly, it's kind of sucky because she did spend all this money on a phone and then the piece that's supposed to go with it didn't work.
And then Apple just be like, well, guess you just had to buy a new one.
Right? Yeah, they might make you buy a new one rather than say, "Oh, well, we're sorry about that. We'll look into it. Here's a new one to replace the one that is broke." And it's I don't know. I don't feel like Apple takes kind of they don't really count for their actions. They just kind of blame you
Yeah.
and give you the runaround. Then it's kind of like, okay, well, everybody jokes around about the exploding batteries on the Note. But yet, originally there wasn't a case in the U.S. But Samsung recalled all the phones anyway.
It's probably because those people were like putting them under their pillows, like a lot of people do, or they're sitting on them, laying on them, and the phone needs to be able to breathe so it can stay somewhat cool when it's charging. Because when it's smothered, all that heat from it charging just stays in one spot, and it causes it to ignite.
Well, and I have a friend. She was actually on the show a little while ago. Her name's Michaela, and we were talking kind of about the same thing. And she said the reason that, because originally I thought that Samsung, or not just Samsung, but a lot of Android phones were kind of copying Apple a little bit because they were getting closed phones. You can't take the back off anymore. And she said, well, that's not really the case. What it is people would buy cheap batteries and cheap accessories to use with their phone, and there would be problems because it's not actually compatible with what they bought.
Because everyone thought they were trying to save money, but those things, when they saved money, they got all the safety devices from the thing, got taken out to save the money on the one thing. And then it just causes it to malfunction and do something horrible like explode or melt.
Right, and so then you had this case, well, then it falls back on Samsung. So what they started doing is closing up the phones. Now, it's funny because Samsung, you know how iPhone, the more memory you get, the more you have to pay for your phone.
Yep.
Now, Samsung, I didn't really get a choice in what memory I have. But I looked at my memory, and I have like 32 to 36 gigs worth of memory.
Yeah. The only thing that I think would make the Samsung phones better is if if you're able to put an SD card inside of it or the micro SD. Just
See,
because
but I think they're trying to make it so that you have enough memory that you don't need one. I think that's where they're trying to go with this. Because, like I said, I looked at my memory on my phone, and before it would come with an SD card, and it would be like a 16 gig SD card, and I would fill that up in no time, and then I'd want a 32, and so I think what they're doing is they're giving you pretty much the highest one that you can, rather than being like Apple where they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for well,
yeah.
do you want this many gigs or do you want this many gigs? And then, if you run out of room, instead of adding memory, you've got to get a new phone. Well, Samsung, I feel like they give you one phone with one set amount of memory, but it's more than you're going to need. At least that's what I feel like. Anyway, so number 4 is the iPhone 6.
7.
Sorry, 7. I mistyped. Number 3 is the Razer Blade Stealth Touchscreen Ultrabook. 7th generation Intel Core i7 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of what's SSD?
Solid state drive.
Oh, solid state drives are really nice.
So I wonder if it has like another hard drive inside of it.
Well, and it has Windows 10 too.
That's why I'm wondering if it has another hard drive on it, because that's a really big computer for like all the processing power. But it's not that big of a hard drive really to download anything.
And if I remember correctly, I think that's a laptop too.
Yes, it is. I'm on the website right now.
Which that's a really nice computer. I mean, it looks really nice. But I've never heard of, because it says it's a Razer Blade Stealth. Have you ever heard of that company, Razer Blade, or
No.
do you know what it's through?
No, when I first saw it, I thought it was like the Razer scooter. I thought you may have mistyped it, but
Me too. I mean, like, cause I used to have that scooter when I was a kid, and but no, it's the Razer Blade Stealth, and it's a touchscreen, and it's an Ultrabook. Now, when I saw Ultrabook, I thought of maybe like a Chromebook, kind of like what you're using now. A Chromebook just runs. You have to have Wi-Fi and pretty much in order for it to function.
it has Bluetooth too.
Is it Bluetooth too?
Yes, it does.
Did I just find a new computer that you're gonna put on your Christmas list?
Yes, you did.
So this one's just a touchscreen, so it's not like a gaming computer or anything. It's just a nice touchscreen computer.
Yes, it's a really fast touchscreen computer, but I guess it only has the 512 gigabyte solid state drive. If you have like external hard drive, that'll work too, I guess.
Right. So is there a lot of memory on it, or is it kind of lacking in memory?
It's kind of lacking in hard drive space. Everything else is fine.
Well, I wonder if there's a second, like you said, I wonder if there's a second spot because like my computer, I have an Acer computer, and when we cracked it open a while back, actually when I was getting repair work done on it several years ago, the guy who was working on it told me that he's like, well, there's a second spot for a second hard drive. And I said, there is. And he said, yeah. And he had this big plan, and I still plan on doing this actually, is he's like, because I kept getting viruses, because I like to download different softwares for different things, and I would get a lot of viruses. And he said, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take the hard drive you have, I'm going to move everything over to, an external, and he's like, I'm going to move that over to the secondary hard drive. And I'm going to put a solid state drive as your main hard drive. And that's where all your programs are going to go. But then the secondary drive is going to be where all your files are. So, all my pictures and documents and things like that. So if I did get another virus, all I would have to do is take the solid state drive out, wipe it, and, put Windows back on it, and that would be it. So I'm wondering if this does have a second spot for a hard drive. Although it is nice that it does have a solid state drive.
It is very nice, because that way, like, solid state drives are a little bit better because they're quieter for one, and like with the discs, if you like drop them or do anything with it, they all like while they're running, they automatically break. At least the solid state is more like a flash drive, so if you drop it, it's not really going to ruin anything on the hard drive itself.
It'll just kind of ruin the outside of it.
Yeah, but it could still work.
Okay. So we're getting kind of close. Number 2 on our list is a PlayStation 4 Pro. So do you know what the difference is between the regular PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro?
I'm guessing the Pro has a bigger hard drive because it says it's 1 terabyte.
That's a lot, though.
That really is really a lot.
I mean, because I don't even have a terabyte on my Xbox, and I've got more than enough memory. I haven't even done like half my memory.
I might get one too.
Might you?
I might, yeah.
Along with that new computer, am I making your Christmas list longer?
Yes, and very more expensive.
Okay, so we've got the Sony PlayStation 4 at number 2, and number 1
This has been out for a while.
is the new, and it's not really that new, Nintendo 3DS XL Black. Which is funny because number 10, the last thing on our list, was a Pokemon Sun, I'm pretty sure, for a 3DS. So,
Yeah, it was.
there you go. That's it. That's your top 10 best Christmas gifts of 2016.
Even though I know we're only doing top 10, it looks like number 11 was also another Pokemon game, so Pokemon's on this list a couple times.
Yeah, so some runner-ups are Pokemon Moon is also for the 3DS. You've got Beats Solo wireless headphones. Battlefield 1 for the PlayStation 4. WWE for the PlayStation 4.
What? Number
PlayStation
15.
2.
Number 15 is a PlayStation 2.
I have a PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2s are awesome.
But they're still selling.
I didn't even think that they would be selling. Because I got Mark hooked on Rock Band. He was looking up some of the parts to that, and it's expensive.
I know, he said he bought a couple things too, so he could play it again.
I was going to say, you think it would be a lot cheaper now that that game system's kind of obsolete.
Apparently it's a good gift to get someone.
Apparently. Okay. So I think I think we spent a lot of time on this portion. So I think it is time for us to get to
Movie Madness Monday! Movie Madness Monday!
That's right, everybody. It is time for Movie Madness Monday. We have a lot for Movie Madness Monday. I mean, a lot. Usually we've got like 2 to 3 stories. I think I've got like 4 to 5 stories on here for you.
Yeah, you have quite a few.
So let's try to get through it as fast as possible. So Rogue One came out this past weekend. It came out on Friday, and it had like I want to say they were record breaking, but it didn't say anywhere that they were record breaking. But they had really big sales. They had $37,282 like their opening weekend. And that's a lot. That put them in number 1. So I'm pretty sure it might have been record breaking. If not, but it does put them in the number 1 spot. And it did open in 4,150 theaters. Which is a lot. That's a lot for one movie to open up in.
It really is, though.
And I guess the critics really loved it. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 84, not a 40, an 84. I've heard nothing but really good things. I mean, I've heard all the actors from the original trilogy really like the movie. I've heard it really does justice to the original Star Wars trilogy, which is nice. I really don't have too much more on Rogue One. I haven't been able to see it, so I cannot give a good opinion on it. But I've heard nothing but rave reviews on it. I've heard it's fantastic. It's there's I have not heard a bad review about it. So if you guys get a chance, go and see Rogue One. You might want to hold off a little bit because I think it is still selling out very quickly.
And if you guys do go see it, tell us what you think about it.
Yeah, if you guys go and see Rogue One, write us on the Topic Talks Facebook page. You can either personal message me, you can personal message Brandon, Mark if he's here. Personal message any of us, or you can just post it on the page and get a kind of a discussion started about what you guys think of the movie. But moving on, we're also going to talk about what movies to look for in 2017. We're getting, it's Christmas, and then it's going to be New Year's, and it's going to be 2017. So I figured we'd do a segment, or we'd talk a little bit about what movies to expect in 2017. So this first one is one of my favorites. I've been waiting for it for a while. It's the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the commercial for this?
Yes, I have, and you always talk about it. You've been waiting.
The Lego Batman movie. Well, the Lego movie was really good, and it's the same character from that movie that's in this one, and it's really funny because kind of the premise behind the movie is Bruce Wayne must not only deal with the criminals in Gotham City, but he's also the responsibility of raising a boy that he adopted. So they kind of play it off like he got drunk one day and accidentally adopted a kid. And Alfred's kind of like, you need to start taking care of this kid. And he's like, what kid? He's like, this kid you adopted. He's like, I didn't adopt a kid.
Seems like the Lego movies are getting very popular recently.
Well, I mean, Legos were popular when I was a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, you could go around and buy a giant tub of just random Legos. I've heard it's really hard to find those anymore.
It really is, and now they're getting so expensive. And
I was gonna say I still have mine, and it's in pretty decent condition. It's probably missing a few pieces, but it's in pretty decent condition. And actually, at this point, it's got pieces from a Harry Potter castle. It's got pieces. I have some stuff that I actually did put together. The Harry Potter castle never got put together. So I have pieces from a whole bunch of different sets, and some pieces from that original Lego set is moved into different boxes and things like that. But I still have my original Legos. So I can see that this is a popular movie franchise. I don't want to call it a franchise, but these Lego movies are becoming very popular. I mean, we've had Lego games before. I mean, I have a PlayStation 2, and I have Lego Star Wars, which is really fun. I know there was a Lego Indiana Jones game. There was we've had a lot of Lego games. I'm pretty sure there's like a Lego Harry Potter game too, or there's several of them.
there is.
So Legos are kind of something that everybody loves, and that kind of makes it, I think that's why all these Lego movies are becoming so popular. Plus, they have a lot of adult humor in them too. That's another thing that is really catching everybody. Is that it has a lot of adult humor along with kid humor. So that makes it nice for the adults. Anyway, the Lego Batman movie is coming out February 10th, 2017. So you're going to want to keep your eye out for that.
I know. We're probably going to go and seeing it.
If you guys haven't seen the trailer yet, I would suggest it. It's really funny. And there's a lot of adult jokes even in the trailer. So if you haven't seen it yet, go. The Lego Batman movie, February 10th. The next one is going to be March 3rd. It's going to be a movie called Logan. So this one's kind of cool because I started watching the trailer for this. So I'm like, oh, this looks kind of a cool movie. And then lo and behold, it's about Wolverine. And what this movie is about is it is in the near future as an aging Wolverine and Professor X must protect a young female clone of Wolverine from an evil organization led by Nathaniel Exis. So the trailer was sweet. Like this is not like any other Wolverine movie you've seen. It's not like I really can't describe it. It's not like anything you've ever seen because it kind of looked like just a guy protecting his daughter type of movie, and then all of a sudden you see these giant sharp claws come out of this dude's hand, and you're like, oh, that is Wolverine. Okay, got it. Once again, the trailer is phenomenal on that one. And see, I didn't know that it was a clone of him. I thought it was like his daughter that he was protecting, but apparently it's a female clone of him. So that's got to be an interesting story. Anyway, so that comes out March 3rd, so you're gonna want to keep an eye out for that one. Kind of moving on because, like I said, we got a lot to get through. This is one that I've been waiting for a long time. I'm so excited. It is Beauty and the Beast, the live action version. Comes out March 17th. And we all know what it's about. It's an adaptation of the Disney fairy tale that is about a monstrous prince and a young woman who fall in love. And it's really cool because Emma Watson plays in this one. Now, there is a little bit of controversy surrounding this movie. Because the time period that this is supposed to take place in, girls wore corsets. And Emma Watson, because she's on this big thing about women's rights right now, she refused to wear a corset. And a lot of people are like, a lot of people are getting after her for it because they're like, this is not, yes, it's a Disney movie, and yes, it's kind of a fairy tale, but there's certain things that have to be met at all times, like the fact that she wore a corset. But Emma Watson has refused, and I guess she didn't wear one the entire movie. What's your stance on that, Brandon? Do you think she should have, because that's the way that the movie was written, and because that's the time period it was supposed to be in, or do you think that she,
It's kind of difficult because I kind of agree both ways because she is kind of going with women's rights, so I can kind of see why she said no. But the Beauty and the Beast was in that time period when that kind of stuff happened, so I think she should.
Well, and one of the things that a lot of people look for when they go into a movie like that is, okay, yeah, you got this beast who's obviously mythical, but, are the things that could be real as accurate as possible? Like the townspeople, are their costumes accurate? Are there, and that's what a lot of people look for. Especially in a live action. I mean, this was a movie that I grew up with as a kid. And so you're going to have a lot of adults in there talking about this movie and really analyzing it and comparing it to the animated version. So you kind of want to get as close as you can without pretty much copying it. Now, one thing I'm kind of excited about is Lumiere and Clogsworth. So Lumiere, the candlestick, and Clogsworth, the clock.
I always liked that.
I saw some of the artwork for them. And Lumiere, I was kind of iffy about. I still haven't really gotten a good look at what he looks like. Like, I've gotten a good look at what the candlestick's supposed to look like, but not really his face. Where his face at? Because in the animated movie, his face was kind of part of the candle. To where this, I think his face is actually part of the candlestick itself, like the candle holder itself. But Clogsworth looks really cool. He is kind of very accurate to what he was in the movie, and the animated version of this movie, which is really nice. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this. Brandon, have you wanted to see this one at all?
I actually have been wanting to see it, but I wasn't sure fully on it because I remember it from when it was the cartoon version.
Right.
So, kind of, do you want to see this? At the same time, most of the things that you remake sometimes aren't that good.
Well, they're kind of on a roll right now because I heard Jungle Book was really good. Did they do Tarzan, or are they in the process of doing Tarzan?
I'm not sure, but they should redo Tarzan because that would actually be pretty good.
Oh, it was Pete's Dragon. So they did Pete's Dragon live action. They did the Jungle Book live action, and I've heard a little bit. Like, I've heard they were both really good. I've heard some scrutiny about a couple different things, but I'm not too worried about it. But I mean, I'm excited. I mean, the Beast looks really good. Emma Watson looks fantastic. The Rose looks awesome. It looks real. And like I said, Clogsworth and Lumiere, I'm a little bit scared about the voices. I've heard some of the voices, and I'm not sure how I like some of the accents. But all I can say is we got to wait until March 17th to really find out if my fears are warranted or not. So kind of moving on, we're also going to talk about Power Rangers. That comes out March 24th. And And we all know the Power Rangers story. It's a group of high school kids who are infused with unique superpowers, and they harness their abilities in order to save the world. Now, I've never really thought about how the Power Rangers got their, so-called powers, because none of them really had powers. They just were kind of they knew how to fight, and then they had a lot of technology.
Yeah, that's all I thought. Is they always had like all this technology they can use, and
Now this new one, supposedly it's a whole bunch of people in detention that break out, and they go to like this secret spot where they can hang out and do whatever, and an asteroid comes and hits the Earth, and that's where they get their powers from.
okay.
So I think it's kind of a unique concept. Again, the trailer is phenomenal, and so it's like I said, that's another one. This movie was also under some scrutiny because of the fact that the female, so like the pink and the yellow Power Ranger, on the chest plate, they have boob imprints. A spot for a woman to actually have her boobs in the suit. And they gave them high heels, and they were saying that was very feminine, and they didn't need to do that. And I actually think the suits look fine. I don't see a problem with it. I actually really like it. So that was under scrutiny for a while, but like I said, I really like the outfits. They came out, or the pictures came out, and they look really good. Have you heard about this at all, Brandon?
No, I have not. I just kind of surprised to see the Power Rangers was on this new list, so I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
Yeah, that's another live action. Well, the original was live action, but this one looks really good. I mean, the other one was kind of cheap animation. It was very cheap. You could tell it was very like
It was always very cheap.
it was a kids movie. This one looks like it's got like a lot of money put into it. It looks really nice. The suits look, I don't know, it looks like more like an action movie than it does like a kid's.
That's why I stopped watching it. It's because it's so like horrible with.
Well, the problem is they got so many different versions. You had the original Power Rangers, and then you had the ninja version of the Power Rangers. You had there were 5 different. It's kind of like NC or CSI.
Yeah, they have like so many different types.
They had
of
so many
versions.
different types, and then the original went under, and then everybody stopped watching it. All the other different types, and it just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Anyway, I'm excited about the Power Rangers. March 24th. Again, trailer's really good. I'm not gonna post it, but it is. If you click on the description or some of the links in the description below, it'll take you to IMDb. They do have the trailer, and you'll be able to see it from there. Now here's one. Have you heard about this one? It's called The Baby Boss.
No, but after reading it, I really want to go and see it.
So April and I have only saw a couple movies in theaters, but every time we went to see a movie in theaters, we saw the commercial for this movie. And it's funny because it's it kind of starts off as this kid and him and his family are he's an only child. Him and his family are having a great time, and then one day they come home with a baby. Well, this baby has a suit on, and the kid's like, "There's something wrong. He wears a suit," and the parents are just finding all sorts of excuses and all that. And then the kid wakes up in the middle of the night and he hears like this man talking, and he walks in and he sees the baby walking around with like dress shoes on, and like he's half naked, and he's talking to somebody on the phone. And then it ends up like he's pretty much bullying this kid. He's like, he's up in his high chair and he has like a file about the kid, and he said, "So who are you?" He's like, "Let's just say I'm the boss." But when he catches the baby walking around, he's like, the baby's like, "Goo goo gaga." He's like, "No, you were talking." He's like, "Ah, damn, you caught me." He's like, "Oh well, at least I can get some decent food now." And he pulled out like a giant wad of like hundreds, and like leafed through them and threw them at the kid and said, "Here, go get me this chai latte with blah 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 blah, and keep the change." And so it was like an adult businessman in a baby's body. So it's really funny. It looks really good. And I mean, you even said just by reading the description you wanted to see it.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
What made you want to see it?
Just that sounds like it'd be a funny movie to go see because the baby being like this boss and doing all the stuff.
Anyway, so that one comes out March 31st. The official synopsis of the movie is a suit-wearing, briefcase-carrying baby pairs up with his 7-year-old brother to stop a dastardly pilot of the CEO of Puppy CL. So apparently they team up together to stop kind of a common enemy. So that does come out March 31st. Baby Boss, keep an eye out for that one. Now here's one that I'm really excited for. And like I'm excited for it and I'm not excited for it. It is, are you ready for the ridiculous name? The Fate of the Furious. I have said it once and I will say it again. These people do not know how to name movies.
It was always The Furious. I think out of all of them were just The Furious.
No. The first movie was The Fast and Furious.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
And then the second one was Too Fast, Too Furious. The third one was Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Then the fourth one was The Fast and the Furious. Then you've got Fast 5. Wasn't 6 just Fast and the Furious 6?
I believe so.
And then 7 is Furious 7. And now you have for 8 The Fate of the Furious. So I don't like the name. Although I don't like the name, I really do like the I do like the storyline. The storyline, like my girlfriend said that she didn't like the storyline. And we talked about it a little bit before. And it's so kind of what the premise is, you know, so Paul Walker's kind of out of the picture. You've got the gang back together, but a mystery woman seduces Dom into a world of crime and betrayal, and a betrayal of the closest to him. The crew faces trials that will test them like never before. So pretty much they're facing the one person that they have never been able to defeat, and that's Dom himself. You know, I mean, in the first movie, Paul Walker goes up against Dom, and then that's when he kind of lets him get away, and they become friends and all that. But he's never really been defeated, ever. I mean, you even get The Rock in there, and he tried to defeat Dom, and it didn't happen. So now you've got this entire crew going up against him because this girl is whispering in Dom's ear. So I'm really excited to see, because it can't just be a girl. It's not just a girl, you know, because Dom has Letty. So it's not just a girl that is, you know, it's not just about a girl. There's got to be more to it. I feel like they're going to kind of play Paul Walker's character in there somewhere. Like maybe he's being held hostage or something like that, and that's why Dom is doing all this. So it's a very curious storyline. I'm very excited to see kind of what the Fate of the Furious holds. You like what I did there?
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, so that one's coming out April 14th. I'm really excited for that one. And it's funny because it comes out on my girlfriend's birthday, and she said, "Guess what we're going to do on my birthday?" And I said, "We're going to go watch the Fate of the Furious, right?" And she's like, "Yep." So, anyway, so that's April 14th. Keep an eye out for that one. Again, the trailer's phenomenal. The trailer's phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to this next one.
Me too.
I can't wait for it to come out.
Are you ready? It is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm really excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. 1 was genius. 2 is going to be even more genius. And the only thing that I want to do, if I can find it, I can't find it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Ah, you do. It is the
Baby Groot. Baby Groot.
Well, it's Groot himself, but anyway, no, I'm really excited for this because and spoilers alert right now, so turn it off if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 1. But you know, you have that ending scene where Groot kind of throws himself into danger, pretty much kind of killing himself, and then he regrows in a little flower pot, and at the end all you see is like him dancing. Well, they actually have artwork of what, because in the original he really didn't show. They kind of showed what his head looked like. He just popped over from the what's the raccoon's name?
I forget it now.
But he popped up and goes like, huh? And that was all you got in the very first trailer. Now you actually get to see what Baby Groot looks like, and he looks pretty sweet. I'm not gonna say I'm pretty sure I think he looks cooler than like adult Groot. Which is funny the order, because the guy who plays Dom in the Fate of the Furious plays Groot in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. Anyway, so I'm really excited. That one's coming out May 5th. And it's to set the backdrop of an awesome mixtape, number 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 continues the team's adventures as they unravel the mysteries of Peter Quill's truth percentage. They're going to go kick some butt, is pretty much what that means. They're going to go kick some butt, and that's all I really care about. I'm just really excited to see them, get in there, and I'm really excited for it too.
I think it's Parentage.
Parentage?
Parentage, yeah.
So, anyway, so that's the final movie to look out for in 2017. I kind of went through there are some other good ones, but that I'm like, okay, I'll stop at May, so we'll come back around that time, and we'll tell you what's coming after that. So it's really funny. The next one is a show that I loved as a kid. I have the entire series. Almost the entire series. There are some lost years that I don't have. I am looking for those. But there was a show on a long time ago. It was called Saved by the Bell. When I was a little boy, my sister used to wake me up when she would go to school. She was in high school. When she would go to school, she would set me down in front of the TV, and she would watch it. She would turn on the TV because she knew I loved the show. Well, one of the executive producers of this show decided to kind of speak up, and he revealed something about one of the most iconic episodes ever. So there's this episode, let me kind of explain for those of you who haven't seen it. So Saved by the Bell followed a whole bunch of high school students who were just kind of through everyday life in school. You had Mark Paul Gatlinger playing a character called Zach Morris. You had Mario Lopez playing AC Slater. You had Dustin Diamond playing Screech Powers. You had Lark Voorhees playing Lisa Turtle. You had Tiffany Thiessen playing Kelly Kapowski. You had Elizabeth Berkley playing Jesse Spano. And then you had Dennis Hackins playing Mr. Belding. So Mr. Belding was the principal. You had Zach Morris, who was like the kind of the class clown, the troublemaker. AC Slater, played by Mario Lopez, was the wrestler of the group. And you had Screech, who was kind of the geek. Lisa Turtle was she was rich. She was the big shopper. Kelly Kapowski was the preppy cheerleader, the popular cheerleader. And Jessie Spano was the smart, independent woman. And then Mr. Belding was obviously the principal. So you had this group of kids, and they would all in the entire series, Zach Morris and AC Slater are battling for Kelly Kapowski. And AC Slater ends up going out with Jesse Spano and all that. Well, there's this one point when Elizabeth Berkley's character, Jesse Spano, starts taking sugar pills because she's doing too much. She's in this dance group, and so she's playing, so she's doing that, and she's doing school. She's got a final. She's doing like all these different clubs. And there's one very iconic scene when she just breaks down. Zach's like, "What do you do? Like, what are these?" He found the pills, and he's like, "What are these?" And she said, "Oh, I need those. I need those. I need those." And it looks like an addiction. And he's like, "You can't do that. You can't sing." And she's like, "Yes, I can." And she just starts breaking down. And it's an iconic scene in the series. Well, the executive producer of the show came out. He wrote some memoirs, and he said that that show, or that episode specifically, originally Jesse Spano was supposed to be on, what did I say it was? On speed. She was supposed to be on speed, which is a lot different than caffeine pills, which is what she ended up being on. And he said she was supposed to be on speed, but when they took it to the network, the censoral department said that speed was too serious for Saturday morning because the show aired on Saturday mornings. I mean, when I was a little kid, sometimes like Friday mornings too. And so so they said, okay, well, we're going to change it to caffeine pills. Well, this is huge. There's been so many, like, this is one that a lot of people who have ever, if you've even seen the series, you've seen this clip, or the clip's been going around. So this is huge. The fact that it originally wasn't supposed to be sugar pills, it was supposed to be, a harder drug. So this was kind of a shock for me, a little bit. I mean, what do you think about that, Brandon? Like them censoring that out, it was supposed to be speed, and they changed it to sugar pills.
Well, I think it was kind of okay because it was a Saturday morning type of thing. So, like, I know there's a lot of kids that are up on Saturday morning probably watching
Right.
it. So it kind of keeps it out, but it still kind of gave the message a little bit, I think.
Well, and the message was very clear.
Yeah.
Because Elizabeth Berkley did a really good job playing Jessie as always, but she did an excellent job, kind of pointing out that it was hooked, that she was hooked on these pills. It wasn't, that she could, and she kept saying, "Oh, I can stop whenever I want to. I can stop whenever I want to." And then it got, "I need these. I need these. I need these." And she was really good at kind of just showing that.
And she was, like, fighting with him, too, to try to get to him.
Yeah, she was fighting with him, and it was, and it really kind of showed how much friends can help. How much that support can help. And I think so they, even though they changed it from speed to sugar pills, or to caffeine pills, they still really got the message across, I feel. And Brandon, you saw the clip before we started the show.
Yeah, I did.
And what do you think? Do you think they had a proper representation of, like, somebody who was?
I think they had a very good representation of what happened and what kind of the message you're trying to get across to everyone.
And they've always had a really good message. I mean, there was one in particular where they did, and they focused on something a little bit. They focused on smoking weed, actually. And in that episode, what had happened was the school had gotten picked to do this campaign for CBS about don't do drugs. And what ended up happening was the celebrity that they had that was doing this campaign actually smoked weed. And they were all hanging out with this dude, and all the gang really got into it. And he got offered weed one day, or Zach Morris got offered weed, and he said no. And he went to the executive of CBS, and like they ended up like getting him in trouble, and he walked out. But then at the end of the episode, they showed the commercial, and it had like the head of CBS, and he said, he said, "Hello, my name's this. I'm this, the president and CEO of CBS." And he says, "I want to talk to you about something." And like they ended the episode with what the commercial would have turned out to be. And the last words they said is, "Don't do dope." But you got to watch that whole commercial. So they were actually spreading a message, which I feel like a lot of shows that were on at that point, you have Full House was on, you had Boy Meets World, you had this series on, they were all trying to teach messages. And I think that's something that we kind of lack these days in TV shows, honestly. You don't have too many TV shows where they're trying to teach you a message. You watch any old cartoon except for Looney Tunes. But most of them were trying to teach you somewhat of a lesson. Like Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was famous for it. They taught you all sorts of lessons. But I feel like that's something we're missing in this day and age when it comes to movies and cartoons. What do you think, Brandon?
I think you're right about that. Because I know when I was a kid watching all the shows, they'd always have like some kind of point, like in life. Nowadays, all these shows they're showing have no point whatsoever, and they're just pointless, really.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of just at this point it's mind-numbing entertainment, to where before you walked away and you learned something, whether you realized it or not. You would learn something, and so I feel like that's something we need to get back into. But anyway, but I love the way this show used to do stuff like that. But they did a really good job, whether it's sugar pills or speed or whatnot. They did a really good job. Kind of showing you how easy it is to get addicted to things like that, and telling you that it was wrong, but not coming out and saying, this is wrong, don't do this. They showed you what happens, and I feel like that does a lot more than just just saying don't do drugs. If showing what it does to a person. And then showing, what kind of support system you could have. Like, if you have really good friends, the support system that you could have. So that was really good. And then I'm going to move on to our last topic. It's our last and final topic, and we are going back to the Guardians of the Galaxy with Baby Groot.
Yay!
So, what this one is they have, because of the new movie, the NECA has unveiled their a toy that they're going to be coming out with when the movie comes out, and it is actually a baby Groot. It stands 10 inches tall. It's made of rubber, foam, and latex. It is very, very, very cool looking. I'll post the picture when we get done with the show. It is awesome looking. It looks like you could actually own a real baby Groot. It looks like it could be living. It's really cool. It's very in depth, and it's very. I can't even describe it. But they unveiled it recently, or just the other day, and they kind of showed the designs. The only problem is that it will not be released until the movie comes out in April of 2017. But it is a life-size model of Baby Groot. Baby Groot is about the size of a doll. And so the action figure will be the same size as a doll. So it is actually a life-size version of Groot. And they are, what they used to make it is, like they actually took the drawings and the pictures from the movie to design this toy. So I'm really excited for that. So Brandon, do you have anything to say?
Just that I really want to see the new movie, and I want a baby Groot too.
I really want a baby Groot, just like I wanted a Gizmo when the Gremlins came out.
That's also a really good show. You're just going to put a baby Groot over there on the side of your desk.
Okay, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Brandon, once again, thank you for coming and filling in for Katie and Mark. They're home with their families.
I'm glad to be here.
I do want to make an announcement. Next week there will not be a show. We're going to enjoy the time with our families around Christmas. So I'll release an announcement about that a little bit later in the week. Just kind of to remind you, and I'll probably repost it the day of the show just to remind you, hey, there's not a show this week. So just sit back, do me a favor, sit back, relax, and enjoy your families just like we plan on doing. But then the following week we will be, and I'll give you all those dates and when I make the formal announcement. Because I'll make a cool announcement like I did for Halloween. I'll edit it all together. I'll post it as soon as it's done. And probably like the next couple days, it'll be before Monday. between now and Monday. I'll get that done. I'll post it, and then I'll just repost it on Monday when we usually have the show. That way it's kind of a reminder, hey, we don't have a show this week. So just do me that favor and enjoy your family. Once again, thank you for coming on, Brandon. It's always a pleasure. I love having you on. You should come on more. Okay, bro?
Okay, I will.
Okay, for everyone here at Topic Talks, I'm Eric Linksmith.
I'm Brandon Buffy.
Signing off.